Here's your project management cowboy coming at you with another episode of Project Heaven or Hell. What's the purpose of project management, heaven or hell? To take anecdotal historical examples from history and from projects from the past so that you can have lessons learned, something to laugh about, some interesting new stories to use anecdotally in your own company, and to avoid the same mistakes in your projects. Enjoy. First project I'd like to bring to you from Project Heaven or Hell series is the Danube Island in Vienna. Now, the reason I picked this project is because it's close by. I live in Vienna, Austria, in the center of Europe, and the city of Vienna has the Danube River, which flows through it. Like every major city in the world, when there's an excess of water, the river will flood and will impact, of course, the city. Now, the city of Vienna, growing as large as it is, over many, many decades was receiving a huge amount of damage and decided that they were going to do something about it. So in the 70s, what the government of Austria did is they got together with the city council and said, what are we going to do to protect Vienna from this sort of damage? And they had a competition, and the idea that won was the idea to take the river and dig out the side part of the river, take that soil, mix it together with cement, with a bunch of stones, and create an artificial island. To kind of put this in perspective, the Danube Island, as it is called now, is approximately 22 kilometers long, substantial construction, and about 250 meters at its width. At that time, it cost 3.7 billion shillings approximately, okay? Now, a lot of people say, what the hell is that in euros nowadays or in dollars? If you were to take the exchange rate and consider the 70s to now, that would amount to approximately 1.3, 1.4 billion euros, okay? Now, if you know how big this island is, that sounds a little bit cheap. I think they were skimping a little bit on the cost. By the way, this is a good example of stakeholder management as well. When you kind of hide the fact of what one of your large project costs from your taxpayers, that's a typical strategies that cities like to do. But I did digress. Let's get back to the Danube Island. Why is this a project that we're going to pick for our Heaven and Hell series? And why would we say that it would go to heaven? Well, number one reason why we would say it would go to heaven, although it costs an exorbitant amount of money, okay, it's paid off in the last decades. Since it's been built, it has fulfilled its number one purpose, which is to protect the city of Vienna of any flood, no matter how large, coming through it. But the real reason why we're picking it for the Heaven series is because it is a master example of stakeholder management. What the city of Vienna, the mayors of Vienna realized is that there was a lot of political conflict over whether or not this project was justified. So what the mayors of Vienna did is they made a competition and they asked the population, listen, we're spending all of your taxpayer money on this. We know that it makes sense, but what could we do to upgrade this construction so that you have greater value of it? Now, let me tell you a funny fact. If you were to go out into the street with a microphone and interview 100 Viennese, 1,000 Viennese, stick the microphone in their face and say, Danube Island, give me your first impression. Almost everybody you would talk to, I would say 99 out of 100 people would smile at you and say, it's a recreational area. I go swimming there, I go biking there, I go hiking there, I go to music festivals. Vienna hosts the largest open-air free concert in the world over 2 days. 1.2 million people every year, with small acts, with big acts. Red Hot Chili Peppers, a number of other famous artists have been on the Danube Island. It's a sensational event with about 1.2 million people in attendance. So has the city of Vienna taken a construction? What was the construction? What was the end product of this exorbitantly expensive project? To create a flood prevention system. But if you ask 100 people on the street what it is, they will say it's a recreational center. Now, this is a sensational example of how, with a little bit more effort, you can take a project that's maybe not so interesting or so likable to a taxpayer and convert it into something that has great value. 99% of the Viennese, if you ask them, would say it's a recreational area. I love to hang out there. And you'll have maybe 1 out of 100 who's an engineer who'll look at you very cut and dry and say, oh, it's a flood prevention system. Now, the very fact that only 1% of the people you ask say it's a flood prevention system and the other 99 say it's a recreational area, that's a master class example of what you can do with your projects, how you can use stakeholder management to create higher acceptance of your projects. Thanks for listening.